Lesson 23. Punctuation. The comma is used to express the shortest pause and is used as a separator, but always within the sentence, never at its end. It has the following uses. 1. To separate words in series, example, I have bought carrots, potatoes, celery and onions. 2. To separate words, phrases and clauses and pairs of words in a sentence, example, the rose and the lily, the violet and the pansy, I love them all. 3. To mark off a direct quotation, example, go home, he said. 4. To separate the words yes and no from the rest of the sentence. Example, yes, I have finished the book. 5. To separate expressions like of course, and in fact. Example, of course, you may come whenever you like. 6. To separate the date and the year, example, January 15, 1992. 7. To separate question tags, example, you haven't told her, have you? Full stop, period. This is the most popular punctuation mark because you simply cannot write a single sentence without using it. There are two main uses of a full stop: to indicate the end of a sentence, or to follow an abbreviation. Capital letters. The following common uses of capital letters are: 1. To begin the first sentence, example, the big fish ate the little fish. The big fish died of indigestion. 2. To begin the first word of direct speech, example, looking angry, she said to me, go home at once. 3. For proper nouns and proper adjectives, example, the British had colonies in India and Australia. 4. To begin the names of days and months, example, I fast only on the third Tuesday of March every year. 5. 4. The names of institutions, example, she studied at the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. 6. For the names of historic buildings, example, we finally saw the Taj Mahal. 7. For the names of books, newspapers and journals, example, two important newspapers in the UK are The Guardian and The Times. 8. For the names of important historic events, example, I can never remember when the Battle of Panipat took place. 9. For important words in the heading of a story, article, essay, example, her essay, tourism and its impact on ecology has won a prize. 10. For the names of festivals, example, when I was a child, we used to have endless fun on Holi. A question mark, as its name suggests, needs to go at the end of every interrogative sentence instead of a full stop. Exclamation mark. You add an exclamation mark at the end of a sentence, it shows emphasis. An exclamation mark can also indicate anger, happiness, excitement, or any other strong emotion, depending on the meaning of the sentence. Quotation marks, speech marks, as you might expect from the name, quotation marks indicate direct quotations. You can also use them to show that a word or a phrase is being used ironically, or for titles of articles, book chapters, episodes of a TV, etc. An apostrophe has two very important uses. First, it can be used in contractions in place of omitted letters. Second, it can show possession. A colon is a punctuation mark used in many different circumstances. It can introduce an example, a list, an explanation, or a quotation. Or, you can also use it to emphasize a certain point. Semicolon. A semicolon is a punctuation mark that creates a longer pause than a comma but a shorter pause than a full stop. It can be used to create a pause between two independent clauses that are still closely related to each other. Brackets are, in a way, similar to parentheses. However, they are mostly used in academic writing and when presenting quotes. For instance, the writer can add extra information or fix mistakes in brackets, without changing the original quotation. Ellipsis: when you want to create an intriguing and mysterious atmosphere in the text, you use ellipsis. Additionally, it can be used to show that some letters or even words are omitted. / you might need to write a fraction, a measurement, or to suggest alternatives in your text. These are just 3 of the instances where you will have to use a /. Punctuate the following correctly. 1. Heard anything from Billy? Hanson asked. I guess he's curious to know what I found about that little animal he left there. Yes, sir. Yesterday he said he was going to call you right after Christmas. It might take longer then to solve this biological mystery. Those little furry things may seem simple enough, but so far they've defied classification. They look like mammals and sometimes they act like reptiles, but they aren't either, at least not in the classical sense. 2. Who is it? Asked a weak voice from inside. Malik did not reply. He quietly entered the room, and stood beside his father's bed. His father opened his eyes, and looked at the boy standing there before him. Hello, Malik, said the sick man. It's good to see you, son. How is your schoolwork going? I'm sorry I cannot help you these days. 3. 2 hikers stopped at a cafe for lunch. The waiter brought them 2 grilled fish, one large and the other tiny. Human nature being what it is, neither wanted to serve the fish. Eventually, however, one of them was prevailed upon to do so. He gave his friend the small one, and kept the large one himself. Well, remarked his friend, if I had been serving, I think I would have given you the large one. What are you grumbling about? Replied the other. I've given you the small one, haven't I? 4. A traveler who had spent many a year in Africa was telling his friends of his adventures. When I was in Nigeria, he said, I single-handedly made 20 elephants run. How did you manage it? Asked one of his friends, greatly impressed. Oh, it was nothing very wonderful, replied the traveler. I ran, and they ran after me. 5. Delicate pieces of china had been lifted from the lower shelves of the crockery closet, and placed upon the table and the window seats. Even the piano had 2 dainty cups which the visitor, whoever he might have been, had placed there. Nothing is stolen, the housekeeper said, in reporting the event to Captain Atherton. And all the mischief is on the first floor. 6. The doves flew down and lit upon his shoulders. Taro took a few rice kernels from the sleeve of his kimono, which he used as a pocket, and fed the birds from his hand. I will feed the fish too, Taki said, and she ran to the kitchen where the maids were preparing breakfast. She came back with some white rice wafers in her fingers. First, she threw some tiny bits of the wafer into the water. The fish saw them, and came to the surface. Then, Taki reached down, and held the wafer in her fingers. The little fish came all about her hand, and nibbled the wafer without fear. 7. George had this in mind for some days before he discussed the matter with the professor. Did I understand you correctly that if we had synthetic foods we could carry several weeks' rations with us, and the load would not be a heavy or perceptible one at that? If such is the case, why can't we prepare some of the food in that way as a matter of precaution? 8. After careful examination, the detective said, judging by the different prints, there must have been at least half a dozen of them. Look. This one has a deformed foot or the big toe is missing, and this one must be a large man, judging from the deep impression made. Beyond the vicinity of the stream, all footprints were again lost.